I'm sick and tired of the SEXPAT stereotype that has been lazily slapped onto Thailand for decades. While Western media pushes a woke agenda that frames the Thai sex trade as some unique, inherent evil, they turn around and celebrate Amsterdam's red light district as a progressive, bucket list tourist attraction. The hypocrisy is staggering. Global journalists choose to ignore the grim reality of trafficked women in European brothels just so they can hunt for unproven narratives of exploitation in Bangkok, Pattaya, or Phuket. They refuse to acknowledge that the vast majority of these workers are adult women making conscious, rational economic choices. One of the most glaring omissions in the international conversation is the domestic reality of the Thai sex trade. If you listen to Western media, you would think the entire industry exists solely to serve the desires of aging foreign men. This is a massive distortion of the truth. Research and local data consistently show that the sex trade catering to Thai men is significantly larger than the one facing Westerners. While the foreign-facing bars are loud and bright, the vast majority of commercial sex in this country happens behind closed doors in places tourists never see. It happens in karaoke lounges, massage parlors, and discreet clubs where the clientele is almost exclusively Thai. One researcher noted that 95% of all prostitution in Thailand involves Thai clients with Thai workers. This is not a service built for the Fa Rang. It is an enduring social institution that has existed for centuries, yet the media remains obsessed with the small percentage of the trade that involves foreigners. This obsession creates a false image of a country that is being exploited by outsiders, when in fact, the industry is a deeply embedded part of the local economy and social structure. The media critique goes even deeper. We often hear unproven narratives regarding minors and forced exploitation being used as a primary reason to condemn the entire industry. I've seen countless reports that claim there are hundreds of thousands of children working in these bars. However, when you actually look at the data from the Royal Thai Police and reputable local NGOs, these numbers are often grossly inflated. This is not to say that trafficking doesn't exist, as it is a serious issue that the authorities work hard to address. But the blanket claim that the entire industry is built on the backs of children is a calculated move to push a specific narrative of victimhood. It ignores the reality of adult agency and the freedom of choice. The vast majority of women working in this sector are adults who have made a conscious, rational decision based on their economic circumstances. They are not forced by shadowy criminal groups. They are motivated by the same thing that motivates people everywhere, the desire for a better life. This brings us to the economic lifeline that this industry provides. While the West looks down on these women, they are often the primary breadwinners for their families in rural provinces like Isan. In Thai culture, there is a profound sense of family duty. Children have a deep obligation to support their parents and ensure their well-being. For many women from underdeveloped regions, the traditional paths of farming or factory work offer very little hope for social mobility. A factory job might pay $300 a month, which is barely enough to survive. In contrast, a woman working in the entertainment sector can often earn 5 or 10 times that amount. This money isn't spent on luxury goods for themselves. It is sent back home to build houses, pay for siblings' education, and provide medical care for aging parents. One commentator pointed out that these women are not desperate victims, but are often very proud of the fact that they can provide a decent life for their families. They are using the tools available to them to climb out of poverty. They are economic actors who have weighed their options and chosen the path that offers the greatest return for their families. The label of SEXPAT is a classic example of branding bias and Western hypocrisy. Consider the double standard when we look at the nightlife in Europe. In countries like the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Spain, and Portugal, prostitution is legal, regulated, and a multi-billion-dollar business. When people go to Amsterdam, they visit the red light district as part of a cultural tour. It is seen as a sign of a progressive, liberal society. Nobody suspects a man of being a deviant because he says he is taking a weekend trip to Berlin or Barcelona. Yet if that same man says he is going to Bangkok, the assumptions start immediately. Why is nightlife in Amsterdam seen as tourism while nightlife in Bangkok is seen as a character flaw? This discrepancy is rooted in a deep-seated colonial mindset that views the East as a place of exploitation and the West as a place of freedom. It ignores the fact that the brothels that exist in Thailand exist in many other Asian countries, yet only Thailand carries this specific stigma. I remember reading a comment from someone who had finally visited the country after years of hearing the stereotypes. They said that they were shocked at how normal everything felt. They wrote that they spent 3 weeks traveling from the north to the south and didn't see anything that matched the dark image portrayed in the media. Another person commented that they realized the red light areas are tiny pockets in a massive country. If you don't go looking for them, you might not even know they exist. This is the reality that is never reported. The physical footprint of the sex trade is minuscule compared to the vastness of the 77 provinces. Bangkok is a global metropolis of 10 million people. The famous neon streets make up perhaps 0.5% of the city's area. To judge the entire nation by these few blocks is like judging all of New York City by a single street in the South Bronx. It is intellectually dishonest and deeply insulting to the Thai people. The truth is that Thailand is one of the most amazing countries in the world to be single. Even if you have no intention of engaging with the sex industry, there is a sense of freedom here that is hard to find in the West. You can walk through the streets of Bangkok at 3 in the morning and feel perfectly safe. You can explore the countryside and be met with genuine smiles and hospitality that have nothing to do with your wallet. The stigma of the SEXPAT ignores the millions of digital nomads, retirees, and families who come here to enjoy a high quality of life. It ignores the teachers, the business owners, and the researchers who have made this country their home. We are not here because we are looking for something seedy. We are here because we have found a place that is vibrant, welcoming, and endlessly fascinating. I have seen women from the poorest villages in the north transform their lives and the lives of their communities through their work. They have sent their children to university. They have bought land for their parents. They have become respected members of their villages because they fulfilled their duty as daughters. When Westerners come in with their moralizing and their savior complexes, they often do more harm than good. One commentator rightly pointed out that many NGOs use exaggerated statistics to justify their own existence and funding. They push for raids and closures that end up criminalizing adult workers and taking away their only means of support. They don't offer a better alternative. They just want to feel morally superior. The branding of Thailand as a destination for sex tourism is a lazy trope that needs to be retired. It is a reflection of the observer's prejudices rather than the country's reality. When someone makes a joke about happy endings or sexy massages, they are revealing their own ignorance. They are choosing to ignore the domestic market, the economic agency of the workers, and the vast cultural wealth of the nation. They are ignoring the fact that prostitution exists in every corner of the globe, and that many Western nations have far larger and more established industries. It is time to stop the suggestive routine and start seeing Thailand for what it actually is, a modern, complex, and beautiful nation that offers so much more than what can be found under a neon light. I think about the millions of people who visit this country every year and leave with a profound appreciation for its beauty. They remember the sunsets in Phuket, the ancient ruins in Ayutthaya, and the kindness of the people they met along the way. These are the real stories of Thailand. The SEXPAT narrative is a tiny, distorted mirror that the West holds up to a much larger and more vibrant picture. It is a mirror that we should all stop looking into. If you want to understand this country, you have to look beyond the stereotypes. Like, you have to see the woman from Isan not as a victim, but as a provider. You have to see the nightlife not as a character flaw, but as a small part of a complex social fabric. And you have to see the Westerners who live here not as deviants. Let us take a deep dive into the reality of the legalized West in countries like the Netherlands, Germany, and Spain. The sex industry is not just a fringe activity. It is a massive multi-billion-dollar business that is fully integrated into the national economy. Germany legalized prostitution in 2002, and since then, it has become one of the largest hubs for the industry in the world. It is estimated that there are over 400,000 sex workers in Germany alone. One commentator on a travel forum pointed out this exact discrepancy when they noted that Amsterdam has literally turned its red light district into a UNESCO adjacent tourist attraction. One commentator on a travel forum pointed out this exact discrepancy when they noted that Amsterdam has literally turned its red light district into a UNESCO adjacent tourist attraction. They wrote that people take their families for walks through those streets just to see the windows as if they were looking at museum exhibits. There is a bizarre sense of pride in the way European cities manage these districts. They sell postcards of the red light areas. They have museums dedicated to the history of the trade. It is presented as a sign of a mature, liberal society that has outgrown traditional shame. However, the moment that same industry appears in a Southeast Asian context, the narrative changes from maturity to exploitation. The Western media portrays the Thai scene as something dark and dangerous, ignoring the fact that it is often far less institutionalized and aggressive than what you find in the heart of Europe. This brings us to the Pan-Asian reality. Thailand is far from the only country in this part of the world with a visible sex trade. You can find similar districts in the Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, and even in highly developed nations like Japan and South Korea. In Japan, the industry is massive and incredibly sophisticated, often hidden behind the label of soaplands or fashion health. In the Philippines, places like Angeles City have a history that is just as deeply tied to foreign military presence as Pattaya. Yet for some reason, the stigma is anchored almost exclusively to Thailand. Why is that? I believe it is a result of effective or perhaps ineffective branding. Thailand has been too successful in its hospitality because the country is so welcoming, so easy to navigate, and so safe, it has attracted a massive volume of tourists. The sheer visibility of the nightlife in places like Patpong or Soy Cowboy during the 1980s and 90s burned a specific image into the Western consciousness. That image has remained frozen in time, even as the rest of the country has modernized at a breakneck pace. The hypocrisy is further highlighted when you look at the professional backgrounds of the people who live here. The expat community in Thailand is incredibly diverse. You have engineers working on massive infrastructure projects, digital nomads running global tech companies, and retirees who work their entire lives in respected professions. These are people who have chosen Thailand because it offers a quality of life that is simply unattainable in the West for the same cost. They are here for the culture, the climate, and the kindness of the people. Yet the moment they tell someone back home where they live, they are subjected to the same tired jokes and suspicions. It is an insult to their intelligence and their life choices. The Western world likes to play the role of the moral arbiter, but its own history is filled with the same industries it now condemns in the East. Many of the most famous red light districts in Thailand were originally developed to serve Western military forces. The infrastructure was built to meet a demand that came directly from the West. Now that the world has changed, those same Western nations want to distance themselves from the consequences of their own history. They want to frame the industry as a local failing rather than a global phenomenon. It is a convenient way to avoid responsibility and maintain a sense of moral superiority. The next time you hear someone make a comment about the nightlife in Thailand, ask them about the nightlife in Frankfurt. Ask them about the legal brothels in Madrid. Ask them why they are so focused on a few streets in Bangkok while ignoring the massive industries in their own countries. The only way to break the branding bias is to confront the hypocrisy head on. Thailand doesn't need to be saved by the West. It needs to be understood. It needs to be seen for what it is, a sovereign modern nation with its own complexities and its own triumphs. How do you feel about the hypocrisy of woke Western media when they report on the Thai sex trade? Leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.